Hello and welcome to IBTimes TV. I'm Leanna Brinder, business editor for the International Business Times. Joining me now is Ayesha Vardag. So hi, thanks for joining us today.
Hello.
We've got a very interesting topic. You are known as one of Britain's top divorce lawyers. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started off your firm? Because it's a very interesting story.
I'd started in the city and I was in financial law with Linklaters, sort of London and Moscow, very much project finance, power stations and diamond mines. And I moved across to the bar at a certain point because I wanted to be more involved in the kind of the excitement of litigation, but it was still very much commercial. I was very much a commercial lawyer. And then at a certain point I got divorced, and I got so involved in working in my own divorce and found it so interesting, partly because I was a lawyer, partly I was trying to save costs. So I was doing a lot of the work, first draft myself. And when it came to the end of all of that, my divorce lawyer hired me. And I found myself in a niche that worked for me in a way that nothing had before, because it was both intellectually interesting, as work in the city had been, but it was also intensely human. It was people's stories and dramas, and so I just found it was the perfect fit, and it was something I really felt I could stick with. I took a sort of downshift for a couple of academic years, and I taught the university course at Queen Mary's and taught family law there while I was having a baby, to have a slightly sort of gentler pace of life. And when it came back to go back to private practice, and I came to looking at where I might go and apply to work, I couldn't bear the idea of going and working for someone else. It was so depressing there. Having been an academic and sort of very much looking after things myself, I just wanted to do my own thing. So I started up very small in my drawing room and set up this little firm, and it just absolutely snowballed. So it was an extraordinary experience. I never really expected that. I thought I'd gather together a bit and make some money to pay my daughter's school fees and that sort of thing, and I didn't imagine that it would go on to become the biggest family law team. But it's been a remarkable journey.
Well, for those of us that may not know too much about the industry, how much is it worth in the business of divorce, I suppose, and for how much it can range in terms of fees and things like that?
The divorce business it's always very difficult to speculate, but I've had our in-house former McKinsey analyst look at it. It's about £1 billion a year industry. It's very big business. The high net worth sector is about half of that. And then there are all the smaller cases. We just work in the high net worth sector. Cases can range, in the very big cases, of which there are a lot going through London because of all the hugely rich res non-doms here and all of the big financial traffic going through this country. The big cases can cost millions in fees, several millions of fees, fighting over what might be hundreds of millions of assets. And when you get to that sort of scale, it's really worth people spending money on having the best team.
Picking up on the non-doms that are divorcing through London, why is London seen as quite a favourable place to file these kind of divorce proceedings compared to maybe the domestic countries?
Yeah, there are a number of reasons. It's partly, and what people usually think of, the historic position that England's always been very favourable to wives. It's usually been wives who've been claiming, and it's been a very generous jurisdiction. And that's partly been because it's had an approach since 2000 whereby they see it right to generate equality between spouses. So you might have somebody who's been going out and making money, but the other one's been at home as a homemaker, and their contributions are seen as equal. So that led to the sort of 50-50 split approach, which has become quite common in England. And there aren't that many jurisdictions that practice that, certainly not across Europe. And also English courts have always been quite paternalistic, quite sort of trying to look after women and children. So they've given very, very generous awards. It's partly that, but it's not only that. The reality is that England has always been seen as having a very good legal system. When I was in Moscow, we were drafting laws for as models for the new legal system there. English contracts, or English is chosen as governing law of contracts across the world in shipping and arbitration, all sorts of things. So English law has always been a very exportable system. So there's that. There's also the sense that English judges are fair, English courts are fair. It can be quite an inefficient system, it can be slow, it can be difficult, but you don't run the risk of your judge being paid off. There's a real sense that that just doesn't happen in England, and that isn't true all across the world either. There's a lot of jurisdictions where people feel really very anxious that if their spouse is very, very rich and powerful, they'll be able to buy an advantage.
So we've talked about obviously the journey in terms of growing your business, but one of the, I suppose, biggest questions is how do you attract and retain clients in this kind of field? What's your advice on that?
I mean, the way it built up was extraordinary. It was, I think a lot of it came from the fact that I had a city background, so I had a different approach. It was very much, we've got to be fast, we've got to be efficient, this has to be an absolutely top quality service. It's not a sort of sleepy old sector. This is very big money that's at stake here, and it has to be done with a city level of quality. And so that caused business to build up very heavily, initially from quite sort of city professional type base, and then moving into the very biggest sector. So now we're acting for, you know, in cases involving members of royal families and, you know, vast sort of billions across the world. The way that you attract clients is just by getting a reputation for winning. And it's as simple as that. People are willing to pay for someone who's going to win. They want to stack their odds in favour of that. So we had a lot of big high-profile cases. We won the Radmacher case, which changed the law in England. It's broadly described as one of the two very big cases in English family law. The one was the one back in 2000, which caused the 50-50 split to develop. The other is Radmacher. Prenups now work in England. And the underlying idea behind that is the idea of autonomy between people. People can make their own agreements and they'll be held to them. It's not the courts running everything anymore. And so we won that. That was all over the global press. Then we've had a lot of other high-profile cases. We recently did the Michelle Young case, which was the biggest award against a bankrupt, which showed the courts will make sort of a £25 million award against somebody who, in principle, doesn't have a penny to their name, and they'll draw inferences. So being in the press a lot for the cases that we've done has brought in a lot of clients, because it means people are very aware of you within the sort of public domain, whereas in the past family law firms work very much on a sort of old boy network of connections. There's a move through global media that you actually have to be achieving things, and that has to be reported upon. And so that's what's brought us to attract clients. Retaining clients is a much more complex and challenging thing in a way, because it's not the idea of repeat business and people get divorced again and again, but you can have something that runs for really quite a long time. Some cases can run for 7 or 8 years when you have lots of complex international enforcement, all sorts of different challenges. And it's a very up and down relationship a lot of the time. It can be turbulent if people experience setbacks in the court or setbacks emotionally. People are going through incredibly intense times of their lives. And so you have to have a relationship with your client that's both very sympathetic and empathetic, but it's also quite tough and directional, because they're paying you to do a job for them, not just to hold their hand. And so you have to direct them properly, and that balance between kind of tough love and, you know, making them feel properly understood and properly reflected is a difficult one. I always say when you're in litigation, it's a war, which is a series of battles and a few skirmishes, and you might lose some of your skirmishes, you might even lose some of your battles. What you need to do is to win the war, and in the process of years of litigation you'll have ups and downs, and it's keeping your client's confidence, keeping their faith through that time, and keeping the energy going and the dynamism to keep driving you forward. That's a huge challenge, and one of the most interesting psychological and relationship challenges there is.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Sure, my pleasure.